So what's going on, people? I wanted to speak on how trucking has changed my life and how it's just changed me as a person. Okay, a lot of people they make videos talking about the money, how you can make more money. All right, what a lot of people don't talk about is how trucking can change you. All right, now I'm coming up on 2 years of being a CDL holder, 2 years tractor trailer experience. I started off just short of 2 months of over the road, which is driving from coast to coast across the country. And now I'm on a local account. After those 2 months, I went local. And it's still kind of like over the road, up and down the state of California. So you're still living out of the truck. Just because you're in the same state doesn't necessarily mean you're going to go home every night. So you're on the road a lot. Because California is a big state. To cover LA to Sacramento and everything in between, that's a lot of ground, right? And you're not going to be going home all the time. Sometimes you don't go home for weeks at a time, just like OTR, all right, if you want to run that hard. And one thing, trucking has done is it's opened my mind to just that, to just how big the world really is. I'm from the Bay Area. I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area all my life. And sure, that's a big place. But when I started before trucking, when I was an Uber driver, I started messing around with Uber in the Bay Area. And the more and more you drive around the Bay Area, the more you realize, man, this place isn't so big after all. When you're young, it's like a big deal to go from Oakland to San Francisco. San Francisco is like, wow, I'm going to New York City or something. And it's just right there on the other side of the water. It's your neighbor. It's not that big of a deal. Okay. And when I started driving Uber up and down the Bay Area from San Jose to Richmond, yeah, that could be a 2 or 3 hour commute with traffic. But if you do it every day, you realize it's not that big of a deal. Okay, especially when traffic is moderate in those in between times. And then when I started truck driving, see, I'm from Northern California, the Bay Area, okay? And from Northern California to Southern California, they're like two different states. If you're from California, especially if you're Hispanic, you know what I'm talking about. They're like two different states, okay? And I had never ventured down to Southern California. I went to Southern California once with my father when I was a kid for a funeral for, some family down there. And the older I got, I didn't remember any of it, honestly. I remembered like bits and pieces of looking at the stars on, you know, the Hollywood Walk of Fame, but that was it. And when I started truck driving, I came to CR England, and their trucking school was in Fontana, California, in San Bernardino County, Southern California, right? And that was the first time I had been on the grapevine as an adult on something I could remember, and I was just look out. Once we got past Bakersfield, it was all new to me because I had went through Bakersfield, on the way to Las Vegas in a car, but I never went past Bakersfield south to LA. So the Bakersfield, seeing Pyramid Lake and man, just everything. I'm like, man, I only seen this on Grand Theft Auto on a video game, and here I am in real life. I was like a tourist in my own state, taking pictures of everything, just ooh ah. And then when I seen downtown Los Angeles, because I was on the Greyhound, they sent me a Greyhound ticket from up north to go all the way to San Bernardino County, where they put me in a hotel room, and they had a shuttle to and from the trucking school to my hotel room. Now it's all at Colton, in Colton, California, which is like an exit down from Fontana, right? And then after the trucking school, when I went over the road and I saw the rest of the country. All right, now I've been out of state like twice. When I was a kid, I went to Florida with a friend from Berkeley. I was out there for like 2 weeks or something in the summer, and that was an experience. But again, the older I got, it was such a distant memory, I forgot it. right? And I went to Ohio once to visit family as a young kid, young elementary school young, and I never went there ever again. I don't really remember any of it. Now driving across the country, leaving California, and I had been to Vegas a few times, and my mother used to live in Vegas, so that kind of counts. But seeing Arizona for the first time, it's like, wow, dude. Seeing New Mexico and Oklahoma and Kansas, and I went up to Ohio again, and Pennsylvania and Virginia and Texas. Man, the women in Texas, man. If you're into Latinas, go move to Texas. And Utah, man, Utah's so beautiful. And we even drove through Idaho and Wyoming, and man, it's just Arkansas, and just seeing everything, right? It really let me know on just how small my world was before I came into trucking. It just let me know that the Bay Area, as much as what's going on in San Francisco and everything up there, it's insignificant on a major scale. It's nothing. It's nothing, right? This would be the same thing if you're from New York. You think you're all that because you're from New York, you're from the big city, it's a big deal. You get out of New York and you realize it's not a big deal. It's just another place. And then just seeing all these different states reminded me, like, man, our country isn't really that big either. Yeah, it's big, but the world is big, right? And just the fact that I could hop on a plane and go to Egypt and see the pyramids if I wanted to. How come I'm not doing that, right? And it just kind of woke me up, like, hey, you're on this planet, go see it. That's what trucking has done to me. It opened up my mind to possibilities of things that when I was living in the Bay Area before, I had always looked at trucks, especially when I was in downtown Oakland by the port, and I'd see all the semis and the container trucks, and I'd be like, wow, that'd be a cool little gig to just live in the truck. And I was just looking at it from a financial standpoint, like, wow, they could just live in the truck and they don't got to pay no rent, because in the Bay Area the rent is like very expensive, and you're living not just paycheck to paycheck, but dollar to dollar, day to day. You're just barely, you're one step from becoming homeless in the Bay Area. That's the reality of living in the Bay Area, okay? And I never thought about trucking, like, wow, they get paid to go places and see places, right? And all the the cool stops that I made, right? I went to this all Native American truck stop just outside of El Paso. Yeah, it was in Texas, just outside of El Paso, and saw the beautiful Native American art that was in there, and you could gamble in there, and just all the food that was out there, and seeing Laredo. And man, I went to Laredo, and all the women that work at the Loves right there, not too far from the border. Man, just every chick in there is like a model or something. Like, wow, dude, this is crazy. I'm in Laredo, Texas right now. I remember the only time I heard about Laredo was they had this TV show about Laredo, Texas, because of all the cartel activity. And it was like cops, like Laredo cops or something, or border patrols. They had a TV show. And here I am. Before trucking, I would never think, like, I don't got no business in Texas, let alone Laredo, Texas. Maybe Dallas or something, but Laredo? What am I doing down here? There I was, right? And yeah, just seeing the beauty out there, driving through Nashville, Tennessee. That's something I'll never forget. I drove through Nashville, Tennessee at night. I was team driving with me. There's three of us in the truck in a little Freightliner, right? There was the student in the sleeper, the mentor and the passenger, and he would, I would tell him, look, dude, I know it's against the rules, but go take a nap, man. I'm fine. You've been up for like 2 days straight mentoring us. You're falling asleep in the passenger seat. Go take a nap, dude. I'm fine. And I would just be left alone, right? Left alone in this driver's seat. Just peace and quiet, because I didn't want to turn the radio on and wake them up. I wanted them to sleep. And I drove through Nashville, Tennessee at night, and it was beautiful seeing all the Johnny Cash signs and all the lights. And then I think I passed up a little bit of Chattanooga and outside of Mesquite, Nevada, which I'd never been past Vegas. So I'd never seen Mesquite, which is right just 30 minutes east of Vegas. And driving through Cedars Pass, Arizona, right? Wow, just beautiful. You know, they got water that goes through Cedars Pass, and the mountains are all orange and pink, and you know, you got just clear water just going through there. Just and it was windy and tight, and you had to be careful because you're in a 53-foot trailer loaded 40,000 pounds or whatever. And I was just in amazement the whole time because they were asleep. I was by myself just taking it in. And man, just driving through Colorado, the Colorado Rockies, I was just in amazement the whole time. Yeah, it was kind of scary, especially when you get to the top and the snow is real heavy and you're coming down on the engine brake. And there was this one truck that was broke down in the middle of the lane, and I had barely passed him, right? And just the whole time I'm just looking at the trees. Like, I had never seen trees that were that tall. I had never seen trees that were so like tall. Like, some of these trees were as tall as like a skyscraper or something. I mean, that's what they look like from the driver's seat. I think it's because, you know, it's always snowing in the Rockies, so they get this endless amount of water, and just the air is right, and these trees just grow so big and strong and healthy, and I've never seen that. I've never seen trees that big, not even in Yosemite, honestly. And just the beauty of the snow, and, you know, driving through Vail right there in the Rockies, and then coming down out of the Rockies, and you're into that's like just outside of Denver or something. And yeah, and then driving through the mountains of Arizona, just making pit stops in Texas. And, you know, again, there's all these hot Latinas everywhere. And from the Bay Area, you know, I got on my little Warriors sweater thinking I'm somebody, and I realized, you know, you're nobody. That's the thing. And then when I come back home, you know, what was so trippy was coming back home, I realized, like, wow, a lot of, you know, my friends and family and people I know who've never left California besides to go to Las Vegas or maybe Hawaii or something. Every now and then they'll take a trip, but they don't, for the most part, they don't even know what's out there. Especially the older people, I noticed. Older people from California, because let's just call a spade a spade. California is very liberal, right? And you talk to a lot of older folks from California, and they'll say, "Oh, I'll never leave California," or I'm only going to move so far. Or, I got to move where there's a lot of raza, you know, like us Hispanics, because, you know, a lot of America is racist, and I don't want to live amongst racist people. And I was in Arkansas, Texas, supposedly where all these racist people are, and from what I've seen, they were some of the nicest people in the world, way nicer than a lot of the people that I've ran into in California who look just like me, honestly. Sure, there's racist folks out there, but they don't even know the beauty that's out there, and that's the saddest part about it. That I realized, being in the Bay Area all my life, in California all my life, that I was in this little box. And that was one reason why I left California. Why I moved, you know, by myself. I moved to Las Vegas. I was out there for 2 years before I moved back and went to CR England. I started to feel like I was in this prison in the Bay Area. Every day it was the same thing. You know, I was working part-time at this job in Berkeley at the lumber yard. Before that, I was at Tesla, and I was Uber driving part-time between, even when I was doing these full-time jobs. And so still, it was like everywhere I go, it's like, okay, Oakland, Hayward, San Francisco, San Jose occasionally, Richmond, the Peninsula, San Rafael, and just back. And here I am, I felt like I was just like a hamster, right? On that little exercise thing in his cage. I, I was sick of the Bay Area and I had to get out. And, trucking really opened my mind to what's out there. And then again, when I came back, I realized, like, man, a lot of people don't even know what's out there. I talked to a lot of friends and family and people I know, and they're like, oh, I'll never leave the Bay, or I'll never leave California. It's like, man, that's sad. That's sad, dude. You want to be in one spot your whole entire life? It opened my mind to like taking a vacation out to Mississippi just to go look at some beautiful lake that I've never seen before. Something that I really want to do now that I'm a truck driver. I'm local, and I'm local because from what I've seen in my first 2 years, maybe now that I got more experience, I can make more money doing OTR. Because from what I see, the money is not in OTR. The money is more on like the local accounts, or maybe even a regional account. But local is really where the money's at nowadays. If you're going into OTR to make a lot of money, if you do the math, the money's just not there. It's fun to do OTR. When I get closer to retirement, when I'm in a better financial, place to where my earned income doesn't mean that much, then I would go back on OTR. But what OTR has opened my mind to is like, man, all these people that I see on YouTube living van life, that are just able to just live out of a Prius like Nikki Delventhal, or in a van or whatever, and deck it out like a home on wheels, and just go. And just get out there and just go, right? And go sleep in, rest areas, or go camping full time. It just opened my mind to it, like, wow, dude, people really live like that. Like, what a peaceful way to live. What an alternative lifestyle to live. That's what trucking's really done to me. Trucking is an alternative lifestyle. Trucking is not just a job, it's a lifestyle. It's a job if you're like, I'd say I still consider myself over the road, even though I'm in the same state, because I don't go home all the time, right? I don't even go home for a reset all the time, depending on how they schedule me. I'm still out here. And we do go out to Nevada. But trucking is a lifestyle. Living in a truck. Take my towel off. Living in a truck, right? There's my bed. Clothes up there. We got food in the pantry. Living in a truck is a lifestyle. This isn't something that you're going to get into and go home every night. So that's what trucking has opened my mind up to. It opened my mind that the world is smaller than I think, and it's worth it to go out there and see it. And if you have the opportunity, even if you have kids or whatever, and you got a lot of, you're tied down somewhere, because let's just face the fact, a lot of people don't go out and travel like that because they're tied down. They have a lot of responsibilities, kids, and because of that they bought a house, so they got a mortgage and car payments and insurance. And I'd still say to get on your finances to where you could at least take a vacation once or twice a year. The more the merrier, honestly. But you want to be smart with your finances and just go out there. Don't let life pass you by. Don't let years go by to where you don't go out and see anything, right? Just like, even right here in California, I've never been to San Diego, ever. I've never been to San Diego, ever, right? And just this past summer, I went to San Diego. I went to La Jolla. I took a load out to LA. Then I bobtailed to our yard in Colton, in San Bernardino County. And they got these rental cars. The company offers the drivers rental cars. I hopped in a rental car, and I just went. I just took off to La Jolla. And then I drove into, after La Jolla, I went and checked out the pier in San Diego, where I think it's Maritime or something, that big Navy ship right there. And it was really cool. I went to Little Italy, had some dinner. I was like, wow, dude, here I am in San Diego. I'd never been to San Diego. It's so beautiful out there. So yeah, that's what trucking has done to me, done for me, done to me, changed my life. And if trucking is something you want to get into, just know that this is more than a job. This is a lifestyle, and it's not for everybody. There's a lot of people that come into this line of work, into trucking, and they're ready to throw up. Literally, they hate their life. It's not me. And I'm talking about people who don't even have kids, right? A lot of people don't like the fact of they don't know how to just live out of a truck. It really bothers them mentally that they're in this truck and they're not in a traditional house, apartment, their bedroom, at their parents' house, or wherever it is. That now they're in this truck and they're living on the road. And some people are antisocial and they're not social, and whatever, they're socially awkward, and they're afraid to go out there in the world, and it's just not for everybody. It's definitely for me. I love what I do. I love this line of work. And not a lot of people could say that. Not a lot of people could say that they like getting up every day and going to work. Every now and then I still have my days where I'm like, oh, I don't want to do nothing today. But I've worked jobs to where I really hated going into work. Like, it was depressing me. Man, when I was at the lumber yard, I had days when I was like, whatever. But there was I'd say 90% of the time, I'm like, oh my God, dude, I gotta go back to that place. Just kill me. When I worked at Tesla, it was really like that. I did not like going into Tesla. I was making good money, but I hated the work. I really dreaded going into work. That place just, it made me so depressed going over there. Looking back on it, in construction, my God, dude. Yeah, it was fun, being in these big, beautiful houses or in these skyscrapers in downtown San Francisco, and you're working on them, but I didn't like it. I did not like it. Having to find somewhere to park my car in the city and come back to a parking ticket, and you're just trying to go to work, and, dealing with construction workers, and this guy was probably some depressed, angry alcoholic yelling at you because you dropped a nail or whatever, or, I didn't like it. I don't deal with none of that now. There's challenges to this job too, but the trade-off is good. With every job, there's trade-offs. There's negatives and positives. And with this job, for me, the positives outweigh the negatives 10 to 1. And not everyone can say that about their job. So that's what trucking has done to me. And depending on who you are, it could possibly do that to you. It could open up your mind to possibilities that you didn't think were possible. It could show you the world, show you your country. You have a chance to go see your country and see what's out there. And it could open up your mind to, like, hey, maybe I moved to Nebraska. Maybe I moved to Oklahoma. I've never even thought about living out there. I just looked at it as a flyover state on the way to New York City or back home. But a lot of those places out there are beautiful. And you see that when you're a truck driver, right? So that's what trucking has done to my life. Like the video, hit that subscribe button, share this video with someone who might find it interesting. That's what trucking has done to my life. Peace out.